Alright, another draftphysics.com video presentation. Debatephysics also.com, but again, there's just no honest debaters. Nothing. Can't get an honest reply to an argument made. Nothing. Just crap. Okay. And so Dispar's lab has, he made a video. He titles it something like, improved pendulum thing, whatever. Not good enough. And it's so obviously, there's something tragically, obviously wrong with how he did the experiment, okay? It's not like a little bit obvious. It's like grotesquely obvious, right in their face. And they don't pay any attention. So here's his numbers.
135 on average.
Shit. Yeah, I didn't want that to happen. So there's the numbers. Okay, you can't see it because it's under here now, but it's 2.2. This is a one mass, and they're all going to go the same velocity. So he has the experiment for a 1 mass, a 2 mass, a 3 mass, and a 4 mass, all going one velocity. And the numbers are ludicrous. Okay, so the 1 mass, it's 2.2 compression of the rubber band. The 2 mass, okay, it's twice the mass, is 3.7. So that sort of makes sense. It's a substantial difference. Momentum-wise, you'd argue it's twice as much momentum. But regardless, pretty close too. But look at this third mass. 3 mass, 1 velocity. 3.85. It's only 0.15. Okay, it's almost like there was no extra mass. It's like the mass doesn't make any difference. And then when it gets to a 4 mass, yeah, there's an increase, but it's lame. It's putrid. So, I'll show the numbers. I mean, it's obviously how can you make sense out of this? How can he claim, everything's a perfect experiment, blah, blah, when all you have to do is put the numbers down, look at them and say, well, this is fucked up here, right? Let me use my arrow, right? Where's the arrow? Come on, arrow. Arrow. Look, 3.7, I increase it by a whole third, I add another third of a mass, and I get this, I get 0.85. I could barely make any difference. How could it barely make any difference? And then it's back up to being, 0.55. It's kind of a difference, but look at the huge difference. So when I double the mass, I get a huge difference. I triple the mass, I don't get much more than the double. And then I quadruple the mass, and combined, I get 1/3 of what I got when I doubled it. So quadrupling it gets me 1/3 of what I got when I doubled the mass. I mean, obviously something is wrong with his experiment. Now, the obvious thing you could look at, by just looking at it, is, he talked about all these things, the points I've raised that were all valid, that he keeps complaining about, but then he does them, and he kind of acknowledges that, yes, it works better if I do this the right way. But he didn't fix the twisting thing. So he put the experiment on this stupid little tiny carbon rod that apparently twists really easily. Now, that's really bad, right? Twisting, that's torque. You're going to use up your energy if the rod itself is twisting. But even if your weights are twisting on the rod, that's very bad. Okay. Motion in the weights. I mean, how many times do you have to go over this stuff with these morons? That if you're trying to extract the energy from something, if you see other stuff moving somewhere, it means that energy isn't getting measured. Okay, movement you see somewhere else, that's not getting measured. That's all energy that's escaping and going someplace else. It's not going into the rubber band. If your object is twisting and turning, then the rubber band isn't getting expanded by the energy, okay, that the weight had. So his first experiment, okay, which was a piece of shit because he put the weights in the wrong place, was in some sense better, even though it was a heavier rod, because at least it didn't move all over the place. It didn't twist all over the place. So I should go back and play that video because he's obnoxiously denying the fact that that was a piece of steaming shit. And I should just make sure it's well understood. It's a steaming piece of shit. And he left it up as a video. And it's a piece of garbage. Absolute garbage. It proves the opposite of his claims, that he claims he's proving something, and it proves exactly the opposite. Because you can deconstruct it and say, well, if he got exactly the results he was expecting and he did the experiment wrong, that's sort of proving that if he had done it right, the results wouldn't have been what he got. So, maybe I will play it again. Because I'll read these comments, these snarky, shitty comments these assholes post. And, it's just bullshit. So he puts these stupid time stamps showing that the center mesh, showing that this, showing. Well, what's the point of showing anything when you can just look at your numbers and say, you fucked up, moron. Okay, it can't be true. You can't be anywhere near the truth. Because your numbers are ludicrous. All right. So I have to put that back on. And I have to make this smaller. Well, I'll pause to do. All right, so you should be able to see these shitty comments. Yeah, and they're just shit. All right, so Mindless says, thank you for showing all the details. So again, so others can replicate this then for themselves. Now, what did he do, though, really? Did he show us the detail? Now, an important detail is first proving the rubber bands obey Hooke's law. Because the whole thing doesn't mean anything if you can't rely on the rubber band to be a scale. I mean, if it's not actually going to read real energy numbers based on distance. So if that doesn't work, the whole experiment's meaningless. So what he first should do is take the rubber band exactly the same tension, and because he's swinging the weights, he can calculate how much they actually impact weight is. All right, and he can just put 4 pounds on and see if it matches what the pendulum is supposed to be producing at that velocity, 4 pounds, and see if it matches, and then see if 8 pounds is twice the compression. Did he do that? No. So we have no idea whether he has this rubber band overstretched. It's clearly an open question. Is he past the capacity of the rubber band to obey Hooke's law? I'd argue that might be a suspect, but clearly the weights twisting is probably the real explanation. Because there's no way to explain the 0.15. The difference between 3.7 and 3.85 for a 2 mass versus a 3 mass is an impossible number. That can't be true. You can't put a third more weight in a car and then have an accident, okay? And the third more weight doesn't mean anything. It has no power. That can't happen. All right. To replicate this for themselves. So this isn't about replicating. Why don't you just concede, Mindless, that these are elemental experiments that physics itself should have done? The guy in the lab coats, the guy with the money, the guy with a laboratory, the guys with the high-speed cameras. This is the experiment they should be doing. And because none of you will say those words, and none of you will endorse what I'm trying to do is to force them to, okay, get them interested in the subject. None of you will force them to. None of you will sit there and try to provoke that. And now YouTube has blocked me from doing it. I can't post a comment on somebody's video. All right. I wish to do these as well sometime. Yes, well, hopefully you would do them recognizing that there are these variables you have to control. You can't have weights that are moving. That's a no-no. You can't have bars twisting and things wobbling. Okay, those are all mistakes you can't make. All right. So then Gosling, the lying, pathetic, lying sack of awful, horrible human garbage, says, you have done a good job. So ludicrous numbers are a good job. You are right, Dispar, of course. So he's right about what? That experiments should be done wrong and badly to prove stupid theories. It's quite disgusting, the self-delusion. So it's a self-delusion. I'm the deluded one, and you're the asshole who thinks 0.15 difference between a 2 mass and a 3 mass is reasonable. Okay, and projected self-hatred on show. So again, absolutely no evidence that I have anything but the highest regard for myself. So again, it's just so silly, right? That the trolls, they either are arguing that I'm too vain or somehow I don't like myself. Ugh, pathetic. I mean, it's just such a pathetic accusation. I obviously have a great deal of respect for myself and a great deal of contempt for you lying pieces of pathetic scum. You religious, mullahing, jihading, fucking fanatics for a goddamn Tootsie Roll, Smurfy, SpongeBob fable. Draft Science pathetic response. So obviously I didn't respond to this video. I just saw it now, 10 minutes ago. Well, 15 now. What the fuck are you talking about? Fucking liar. Okay, Dispar's lab pathetic liar. Old experiment with the hammer. So isn't this exactly the truth? So what do I have to play that video again? Is that what you want me to do? And I'll play Gosling's video again? You know, where he says this stupid, idiotic thing that if you throw baseballs, you can make the twice as fast one go 4 times as further. Fucking idiot. Okay, anyway. And he put the 4 mass in the wrong location. So it's just an absolute fact that when he added the 3 mass, he added it going up the lever, which meant obviously it's not falling the right distance. Okay, because he put it way too high. And it doesn't arc at the base, so it never got enough energy. All right, and so he says, for fuck's sake, I have shown you the center of mass up close. So again, I'm talking about the previous video. It's right there in there, the hammer video. I say he did the experiment with a hammer, and he put the 4 mass in the wrong location. Is that an absolute fact or not a fact? It's an absolute fact, you fucking cunt. Anyway, and it was perfectly aligned with the 1 velocity mark and the 2 velocity mark on top of that. I have double checked the velocities with the timer, for fuck's sake. So again, you double checked what? What velocities did you double check? I didn't see you using the speed thing when you did the experiment with the actual masses. You only tested the 1 mass with the sensor. You didn't do it with the 4 mass to see if that was correct. And clearly you didn't do it with the rubber band in place, which obviously the problem is that, yes, if it swings, it doesn't twist. But if it hits the rubber band, hits an obstacle, then it starts to twist. The weights aren't balanced, and so one side moves more than the other side. And the whole thing twists. You goddamn pathetic human being. Yes, well, that's what you are. All right, and gets an equality, almost equal. He actually didn't even achieve the equality. So this was the previous experiment. I'll play the video again, okay, and demonstrate what a lying sack of shit he is. He left the video up, never annotated it, stating, oh, I made a huge mistake, it's a garbage video. All right, there was a difference of a 0.5 millimeter in 1 millimeter. So complete bullshit. So he's too stupid to even know what video I'm talking about, this fucking pathetic piece of shit. I wasn't referencing this video, you dumb ass. You ignorant, stupid, ugly fuck. Okay, in every single experiment, there is always going to be a certain degree of error. Well, no. Frankly, you can do experiments very well, very clean, and you can do them very badly. So again, I've seen the experiment where they've put the added 5 mass onto the 5 mass, and they get a conservation of momentum number that is really, really close to 100%. For the 2 mass going 1V and the 2 mass going 2V, there was also a difference of 1 minus 1.5 millimeter. What does that even mean? So again, he's talking again. He's too stupid to recognize I'm talking about the experiment where you put the mass in the wrong place. Yeah, the one where you said again you were proving something. If 1 millimeter is such a gigantic difference, then your predictions are catastrophically wrong. The difference between 1 mass and 2 mass going 1V is 1.1 centimeter. So I don't even know what the point of this is. The point you should pay attention to is the 2 mass is 3.7 and a 3 mass going the same velocity is only a 3.85. That's a big problem with your experiment, fuckhead. Alright, this is so typically you. If it isn't absolutely perfect, the whole experiment is garbage. Well, obviously you think this experiment is some kind of near perfect, and it's got a number in it that's so catastrophically unacceptably wrong, okay, that yes, it's a garbage experiment. Going from 1.5 to 0.15 is, yeah, again, there's no way you could make that into, oh yeah, that's perfectly consistent with expectations. Anyway. And clearly, if he put the 4 mass in the right location, it's going to dramatically increase the amount of energy the 4 mass has. So again, with the hammer experiment, if you put the extra 3 mass in the same location as the 1 mass was, okay, if its center of mass was in the right location, let me just draw it real quick. I mean, I went over it and over it. I mean, it was such a stupid error. And, again, like I said, they keep leaving videos up that have these catastrophic errors in them, and they don't care. So he had the 1 mass here on the lever, the hammer, all right, swinging here. He added the 3 mass up here, okay. So he put the 3 mass up here, which means it wasn't falling the right amount of distance, okay. So it wasn't going to gain the same amount of velocity because you shortened the pendulum, essentially. You put it on a much shorter pendulum, and so a shorter pendulum at the same angular distance isn't going to produce the same amount of energy. It's going to produce a lot less energy. So that's the catastrophic flaw. So he got the 4, the fact is that the 4 mass was, okay, say this was a 4 centimeters, the 1 mass at 2 velocity was actually, the number he got was like 3.7. So he actually was short. And certainly he would have been a lot shorter if the 3 mass center of mass was in the right location, if it was here instead of here. So, in a sense, doing the experiment wrong and getting the right answer proves, okay, that, yes, obviously it isn't the same. Because if you did the experiment correctly, you wouldn't have gotten those answers. And you're such a pathetic liar that you left that piece of shit, steaming shit video up. All right. So that was my statement. He says, oh yes, moving the 4 mass 1 millimeter to the left. So again, this wasn't about 1 millimeter. It was about, centimeters of distance that he put the 3 mass in the wrong location. All right. So again, he's too stupid. He doesn't understand that I just saw this video half hour ago. All right. So clearly it was an experiment basically to prove that it's not the same amount of energy, because absolutely if you did the experiment correctly, the answer is not going to be that they have the same energy. So I just made the point that it's obviously an inverse proof of my argument. He thinks he proved his when he proved mine. Okay, if he changes the experiment, he's not going to get the same result. So obviously, he basically inadvertently proved exactly the opposite of his claim by doing the experiment badly. So that's the absolute truth. He got them to be equal only by cheating the experiment so dramatically, by stealing most of the energy from the 3 mass by putting it in the wrong location. Yes, once again, typically you're turning and twisting so that, in fact, I'm proving you correct. Of course, you only focus on the 1 mass and 4 mass for the 2 mass, 3 mass. So none of those were part of the other experiment. Perfectly in line with the experimental results. Yeah, the 2 mass is really in line, and the 3 mass is way out of line. A 0.15 difference between a 2 mass and a 3 mass is insane. It can't You can't even believe that can be possible. Really, I have a 1 mass. I get a number of 2.2, right? I double the mass, and now I get a number of 3.7. Yeah, that sort of makes sense. I now triple the mass, and I get a number of 3.85. Barely 0.15 more, okay? So you can get that. It's insane. They're within the margin of the error. It's the same exact result. How can the 2 mass and the 3 mass produce exactly the same result? That's idiotic. Oh, God, you people are just such pieces of shit. So it's all a confidence, right? A coincidence. Or did I cheat the results for all the masses? I'm so done with you, you pathetic evidence denier. Okay, well, I've pointed out before, I have no obligation to keep doing this Columbo thing. Keep outing you fact murdering and truth murdering pieces of shit. And that's all you are. You just keep trying to contrive the answer. You keep trying to force it to work the way you want it to. All right? You keep bending and twisting things to see if you can make the results come out your way. That's all you're doing. All right. Can you explain what he even meant when he said, Dispar's lab is a pathetic liar, did the experiment with I can't believe you didn't see the fucking video, you fucking idiots! It's right on his fucking channel, for fuck's sake. So again, I should play it over and over and over again? What is with this fucking YouTube? I can't even hit a fucking icon here to get to his channel? God, it's so fucking stupid. Alright, so we just go back to, if he didn't delete it. Let's see, these were pendulums. Where is the metal bar? Pendulum trials with 2 springs. There you go.
I'm going to repeat the spring compression experiment, but this time with the pendulum. I'm going to let the pendulum collide against this wooden block that I'm going to hold with my hand tight. And then we're going to
yeah, that's really brilliant too.
Slow-mo GoPro camera over here. And then I'm going to record the amount of spring compression. Now this is the 2 mass, and then I'm going to take this extra mass away, and then we have the 1 mass. And we're going to take
we want a 4 mass.
1 mass going twice as fast, and the 2 mass going.
Oh, okay, this is the wrong one. We want the 4 mass experiment. Alright, so maybe it's this one. Yeah, okay, here we go. Alright, so you can see this is him measuring the lever. So this is the 1 mass. You can see where it's located. It's right behind the spring, right? So it's in the longest part of the pendulum. It's at the base of the pendulum. The pendulum is exactly the same size in both experiments. You can see it's a nice rigid bar, but they're heavy weights. So the weights are much heavier than the lever, okay? So, and it's not some piece of carbon crap that can twist and bend. All right, so look at this. So now he's tripled the mass, and look where he put it on the lever, okay? So even an idiot can understand this, right? He's got the 1 mass, does the experiment with the 1 mass. The center of mass of the weight that he put on is down here. Then he puts the 3 mass on, 3 times the weight, and it's up here. Okay, so its center of mass is this little distance, okay? The distance is much shorter. So it has a lot less energy from the velocity point of view, because it's going to be moving a lot less distance because of that shorter pendulum. See, the shortness of the pendulum decides how much distance you get to move, how much time you have in the gravity to collect gravitation. How much distance you have to fall. Okay, the falling distance is decided, okay, by the length of the pendulum. How far you out means it's a bigger falling distance to the base. The shorter it is, the less falling distance. So, I mean, any you idiots, even if I explain this ineloquently, you should be able to understand that the center of mass up here is very different than a center of mass down here. All right. So I played this clip. I've referenced this thing numerous times. I've pointed out numerous times how this is a lie, sack of shit video. Okay, and he claims the results. So I'm just saying, where has he annotated this? Where has he stated the titled it differently? Where is the fucking... Oh, it's over here, the title. So there's nothing in the title saying, oh, I made a mistake, really bad. Nothing. So here's his conclusion. 2.1 centimeters, okay, and 1.9. So this is the one mass going 2V. Oh, shit. Pause. All right, so the one mass going 2V, he says is 2.1 centimeters, and the 4 mass going 1 velocity is 1.9. So he actually has it going slower. I thought he had it going faster. So he has it actually going less energy. So it has less energy than... No, he's measuring how big this compression is. So this one did compress it more. You can see the coils are more compressed here. So I don't know how to even explain that, right? The less is more. Okay, the lower the number. We're not talking about stretching a rubber band or this. In this case, the lower the number, the more energy. So clearly, by some 10%. Right? Yeah, it'd be 10%. The 4 mass showed to have more energy. And that's with the huge cheat. So you can just imagine if you actually had put that 3 extra units of mass. 3 extra units. So we have 1 unit of mass, and he's going to add 3 extra units. If he had added those 3 extra units at the same location on the pendulum, you don't think these numbers would be way out of line, not even close to equal? So why don't he redo that experiment, putting the mass in the right location with the same center of mass? Have the same center of mass for the 4 mass and the same center of mass for the 1 mass. So do that experiment correctly and then post your results, you lying sack of shit. Because we already know your results can't be what they were here. There's no chance they're going to be the same. And there's every fucking expectation that they're going to show that the 4 mass is dramatically more energy. Not a little bit. It's going to have a dramatic, huge volume more energy. You did the experiment so badly, and you cheated the 4 mass so badly, okay? And it's going to show that you cheated. And it's going to show that you're an idiot. And it's going to show that you're a propagandist and a liar for a nonsense fable, okay, that you don't even know to be true. You only think it's true because your Ayatollah told you so. You're such a pathetic dupe. So there's nothing here, okay? Is there anything here to indicate you did the experiment wrong? Let's see if there's any comments here. See what Dispar says. Show me it takes 4x the energy to spin a motor twice as fast. 16 the energy to spin a motor 4 times as fast. Show me any shred of physical evidence. And so that's my claim. Show me the tug of war. I will be proven right. Get what you deserve. I hate this fucking planet. Okay, that's all he has to say. Does he concede he just did it wrong? No. Does he concede that the center of mass for the experiment was completely way off? No. So there's nothing, right? So he's left up a video that's a complete lie. The results are absolute crap. The error is all, it's a monumental error. I mean, it's not like it's not a trivial error. It's a huge error. It's as fundamental as, I don't know, measuring how far a car is going to go when it has flat tires versus when tires pumped up. It's such a huge cheat and distortion. And this fucker left the video up and has done nothing to apologize or qualify that, oops, yeah, I did do that wrong. I did make a mistake. Nothing. And so this is the character of these fucking people, and these people are going to make an accusation about my character? These pieces of shit. These pieces of shit that leave these live videos up. So again, look at this again. So 1 mass, longest location on the lever, all the way to the end of the lever. Longest location. All right, 3 mass. Whoops, way up here. Center of gravity is, oh fuck, can't see that. Stupid Firefox bullshit. I really hate that I have to do this private window thing. All right, so there, now you can see it. So I'll make it, just have to illustrate it again. You could get the point, I'm sure. I mean, I drew it. Here's the center. So when you have this collected mass of 4, the center of mass is going to be somewhere up here by this rubber band, right? And when it's a single mass, the center of mass is way down there at that rubber band, right? I mean, you can see that difference. I mean, it's just huge, gigantic difference, right? So I shouldn't even have to, I mean, should any of these liars not concede that's a huge difference to have the center of mass right behind the spring here, and then the other case, the center of mass is inches away from the spring. The spring is here. Let me put the arrow on. Okay, the spring is way down here. And here's the center of mass. Right? So the one mass, its mass is right behind the spring, and the other one, it's way the hell up here, way shorter lever. So I'm just saying. So obviously if you got results that say the two have the same energy, and you did the experiment that wrong, you gotta know that, yeah, if you did it right, there's no chance those two numbers are gonna come out anywhere close to each other. It's gonna go from 2.1 to 1.9 to 2.1 to 1.3. Yeah, it's not even gonna be close. All right. So fuck these liars. So again, should I play Gosling's video? He still has it up, where he idiotically says that, you throw something off a cliff, thing going twice as fast goes 4 times as far. When no, it doesn't. So anyway, just too stupid. These lying sacks of shit. All right, so I don't think there's anything else here. Let's see. Despite the immovable... Oh, this is the wrong experiment. Yeah. So again, just no concession that he did the experiment really badly. So it's not in the comments. It's not in the title. It's not in the description. Nowhere has he indicated to any ignorant person who might watch this video that, oh, wait a minute, it's really junk science. It's a piece of garbage as science. The experiment is so badly done, it's garbage. The results are garbage. Fact. Absolute fact. If I had done this, if I left videos up that they were this bad, all right, I would be considered a disgraceful flat earth pseudoscience faker. And why do these assholes think they should be called anything other than pseudoscience fakers when they leave up videos this catastrophically idiotic? Such a fucking pathetic lying sack of fucking goddamn shit. Alright, so enough. Look, see, there's the drawing. 3 mass way up here. Should be way down here. Okay. Again, look at the numbers. 1.5 difference. Pretty big difference. 1.5. 0.15 difference. So I add a whole unit of mass, and I only get a 0.15. And I add another unit of mass, and somehow I get back up to a 0.55. So somehow when I add a 3, I only get this tiny increase, but when I go to 4, well, now I get at least 0.55. But I'm so way short of this doubling here. And no, it's a perfectly fine experiment, though. It's perfectly reasonable. Everybody should fall for it. Shit. I mean, not to concede after all these times where they have, in fact, failed to do the experiments in a credible way, and they're still arguing as if, look, we've done all these perfect experiments, and they're so perfect. Why don't you believe our perfect experiments? Oh, fuck. All right, so till the next time and such. But it's just if this is, like I said, if this is any indication of what people are like. I mean, I can't say, you know. I mean, it's a small sampling. These 10 people, these 10 little cranks that show up to dispute me. But then it perfectly does explain why the world is the way it is. It really does explain how it could be so upside down, how Trump and Biden could be running for president, how you could have a race of imbecile against, dimensional lost in space. I mean, it's just so bad. Humans are just such garbage.